Hello, welcome to Tasty Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about a zucchini bonanza. I'm Daryl Minch, Family and Community Health Sciences Educator for Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Somerset County. If you've ever grown zucchini or gone to the farmer's market at this time of the year, you know we have tons of zucchini. It's a very prolific plant and it produces a wonderful vegetable that is extremely versatile. So today I'm going to show you two dishes. One is an Asian style salad and the other are what I call zucchini coins. After this broadcast, we will be adding a link to a recipe booklet that's on our website that has all sorts of zucchini recipes, from savory dishes that you can have with a meal to desserts like cakes and pie. So zucchini comes in all different colors. This is a really nice dark green. We have a lighter green with some little light colored speckles. And we have a lovely yellow, and they even have some that are pretty white in color with more green speckles. They all taste the same, it's just the color of the outside of the skin. Zucchini is wonderful because it's very low in calories. 1 cup of a very sliced zucchini has only 19 calories. It's mostly water, which is when you cook it. If you cook it a lot, it tends to release a lot of that water and it's very soft. The nutrients that you find in there, it does have a really good amount of potassium, 295 milligrams for that 1 cup. And there is some vitamin C and some folate and some phosphorus, very low in sodium. So let's start today with our zucchini salad. And this is in the recipe book. It's very simple, quick and easy to make, and you can make it with whatever zucchini you like. So today I'm going to use a spiralizer. You could also slice the zucchini really fine, probably about a 1/4 inch or less. So there are lots of different spiralizers out there. There's fun. You can make what we call zoodles, which are really just long strings of zucchini. I'll show you. There's several different models on there. This is a handheld one. I find it really adequate for my household because I'm only usually 2 or 3 people. If you have a larger family or you're going to start making a lot of these zucchini spaghetti strands or other kinds, you may want to invest in one that's like a hand crank or one that is electric, and they do make some that can attach to some of those higher end mixers. When you're looking for even a handheld, you want to look at the size of the opening where the zucchini is going to go. So I have another one that I have at work that's smaller, so it requires smaller zucchini. This will hold a really nice size zucchini, almost 4 inches across, 4 to 5 inches across. So you're going to wash your zucchini well. Zucchini stores for a short period of time. If you store it probably more than 4 days or so in the refrigerator, sometimes you'll get little spots on it. That's from moisture damage. I find if you wash and dry it really well, sometimes I'll wrap a paper towel around it and try to use it within 4 days or so. You don't get that those little spots from the moisture. It's still edible, it's just not as pretty. So to make it a little easier, I'm going to cut this in half. I've already shredded some. Has really sharp teeth. This, if you have children that are going to help you in the kitchen, you want to make sure that they keep their hands away from the teeth. So what you're going to see here is these spirals coming down. And they can get really long sometimes, so sometimes you may want to cut them. Again, you could slice them. I think the spiralized zucchini is kind of fun. I'm just twisting. I will say that this handheld motion, if you have some problems in your wrist or some arthritis, it's a little more challenging, and I'm just breaking them off into a manageable length. It's a great recipe because you can really vary the size of the portions very easily. So we're going to, that's our zucchini. I will show you that what you get is this center core is kind of stabilizing it in the spiralizer. That is edible. You can use that, or you could compost it for another time. So I spiralized some more zucchini before. This is about 1.5 zucchinis, about the same size. These medium-sized zucchinis or smaller ones, the seeds are really small, so you don't have to worry about removing seeds. As you get bigger zucchini, sometimes they get really big. In my garden growing up, we used to call those the baseball bats. They're really good for stuffing or for shredding and using in another dish. The seeds are really big, in which case you want to use a spoon probably and scoop up those seeds. So that's the noodles. Now we're going to make the dressing, which is what gives it that Asian sense. So to make the dressing, we're going to put in 1 tablespoon of vinegar. You can use whatever you want. I'm using a rice wine vinegar. When buying rice wine vinegar, you want to look for one that's plain. Try to avoid the ones that say seasoned because they have a lot of salt in them, and you can add your own seasonings as you wish. And then we're going to use some soy sauce. And I purchased the low sodium soy sauce, and I think that's really important. If you look at the label, low sodium soy sauce, 1 tablespoon, this much, has 550 milligrams of sodium. That is a lot. And that's half the sodium that a normal soy sauce would have. It's a condiment you want to use sparingly because of the high sodium amounts. Also, if you're gluten intolerant, you want to read the labels. This is 1 tablespoon of the soy sauce as well. To see if it contains gluten. Some brands of soy sauce have wheat components in them, and some do not. This one was gluten-free, so read labels. We're going to add a teaspoon and a half of, or half a tablespoon of Japanese sesame oil. A tip here is to keep this stored in the refrigerator, because sometimes if you store it in a warmer room, it'll tend to go rancid. But when it's in the refrigerator, it'll start to solidify a bit. So take it out for 5 minutes or so before you're ready to use it, and it'll be liquefied. Okay, so this is my, just a very basic vinaigrette with some sesame oil. That's a really strong taste. If you want something milder, I'm going to give it a little cracked pepper. You could use a lighter oil, such as some sort of vegetable oil. And we're just going to whip this around a little bit. And then we're going to pour it over our zucchini. And it doesn't make a lot of dressing, but you don't really need a lot. The recipe in your book is double what I have here, but they're looking at 3 zucchinis. So then just give it a nice toss so that the zucchini strands are covered in this nice light dressing. You don't want it to soak. You're not looking for it to have a bath. You're just looking for a nice light coating to all the noodles. And then the recommendation is to refrigerate it for about an hour or more to let the flavors penetrate the zucchini strands. And if you want to do something fun, I like to sprinkle on some toasted sesame seeds. And I bought them toasted. You can buy them untoasted and toast them yourself. Just gives a little crunch. It's not a requirement for the dish, but I think it's nice. If you like something a little spicier, you could add a little red pepper flakes to your dressing. Again, we'll give this a quick toss. And voila, that's all there is to it. It's a really great, nice, light salad. I really love it in the summertime. It's probably one of my new favorite zucchini dishes. So I think I'll try some in a little bit. The next thing that we're going to try are what I call these zucchini coins. Again, really quick and easy to do. You have 2 choices. You can do these in the oven, a 350-degree oven. They take about 10 minutes or so. Or you could do them in the microwave. And that's what I usually do because it's fast, and in 5 minutes I have my side dish done. So, first let's take the zucchini. I'm going to use the yellow zucchini this time. And I'm going to cut it into about 1/2-inch slices. If you want it to cook a little faster, cut it a little thinner. These are probably a little less than 1/2 inch. And just cut them up on the rounds. Okay. And then what I do is I find a microwave safe plate, and I use a piece of wax paper. Love wax paper. You can also use parchment, and it actually makes cleanup really easy. We're going to put some cheese on top of this, and sometimes the cheese gets onto the plate and is kind of sticky, so we put those there. In the microwave oven, I try to put the zucchinis in a circular pattern. Just makes them cook a little more evenly. All right, the next thing you're going to do, and this is kind of optional, you can use an oil spray, or sometimes I've used a butter spray, just really light coating to give it a little extra moisture. And I think you just rub this around a little bit, but it's not a requirement. And this comes together really quickly. You can freeze zucchini if you want for another point in time. It does get, because it's so much water, it does get very mushy after you thaw it. Some people like to make zucchini bread. You could grate your zucchini up, freeze it in the recipe size portions in a container, and then when you take it out, you want to squeeze it out, and you might want to add a little extra moisture to your batter, because again, the squeezed out zucchini doesn't have as much moisture, but you don't want that extra moisture in the batter either. So once I'm done with just oiling it, I'm going to use a salt-free spice mix. Again, you could do whatever you want here. This is just some pepper and garlic. It's a salt-free mix. If you would like a little more pepper, you can put a little more pepper on. And then what you're going to do is you're going to top it with a little grated cheese. I use a grated Romano. You don't need a lot. And the cheese has salt in it, so that's why we don't need to add any extra salt to this dish. Sometimes I actually grate the cheese right over the tray, especially if I have this tray totally covered with zucchini. And that again is why the wax paper is good, so if you spill some on the plate, it doesn't bake onto your plate. If you are a home food preserver, zucchini is one vegetable that you may not can. There are no safe ways to home can zucchini. It would also be extremely mushy if you were to do that. So freezing is the only method. You could dry it as well. Some people will cut it really thin and use a food dehydrator to dry it, and then you can use it in other recipes. And they also make nice zucchini chips. So if you have a food dehydrator and you cut them really thin, you could sprinkle again with some little salt-free herb mixture on. So I have some cheese on here. Again, I use grated cheese, but I think also feta would work really nice. Now I'm going to pop these in the microwave for just 3 minutes, not very long. Uh, 3 to 5 minutes will do it for the zucchini. To just let you know the other recipes that are in here, we do have a nice zucchini bread. We have a zucchini dip, an appetizer. There's quiche that has zucchini in it. There is a yeast bread. And then there are some variations of cakes, a chocolate cake, a cider cake, a custard pie. So lots of variations. A very common way to make zucchini is to saute it with a little bit of olive oil, maybe some onions and some fresh chopped tomatoes, or canned tomatoes that are dried, with some Italian oregano, basil type seasonings. Really makes a nice side dish as well. So while we're waiting for those to finish cooking, I'm going to try these zoodles. If you spiralize these and you want to cook these as a spaghetti substitute, I like to saute a little bit of garlic in the pan and then add my zoodles. It doesn't take long. You don't want to overcook them because they lose that body. They'll be too mushy. So just till they're a little bit tender, crisp, and heated through, that would be the ideal time to cook your zoodles. And then you could top it with whatever topping, whether you have a tomato sauce or a nice homemade pesto would be nice. You have to cut this. It's very long. Very good. If you have zucchini and you have some of these other ingredients, it makes a really nice quick dish. If you don't want the soy sauce type dressing. You could make a nice vinaigrette Italian dressing as well. So I'm going to check the microwave. Be right back. So these are done. They're kind of have some give to them. They're what I would call clean fork tender. You can cook them to the consistency you like. I don't like zucchini cooked till it's too soft. The cheese is nice and melted. If you do it in the oven, you'll get some browning of the cheese that you don't really get in the microwave oven. But what I like about this is it's so fast. So I hope you enjoyed our zucchini bonanza. Look for the recipes to be added to this video in a little bit, and try some of the other recipes that are there. We have our Family Fridays at 11 with Jen, and we also tomorrow have a webinar on our FCHS Wellness Wednesdays on nuts. So check out our Facebook feed to see where the links are for those things. Have a great day. See you next week.